I love this clip. I gotta say, only two guys who desperately need the win and the money can play a point like this. Look at all that sweat. As Roger Federer said, it is the largest target in tennis, the rear end, the rump of Jack's sock. Welcome to the Coffee Break Tennis Podcast edition. If you missed our last show, the U.S. Open 2020 Draw Show, then you missed my heads up warning. I'm out of town for a couple days. We'll be doing podcast style today and tomorrow. The current plan is to be back in Atlanta, Georgia for Wednesday night to do the show from Coffee Break Tennis Studios. Anyways, day one is on the books at the U.S. Open. The top half of the draw, round one play is complete. So in today's show, we are going to take a look at the top half of the draw and how it has developed. Talk about, some favorites that played today like Zverev and Djokovic, how their matches went. But let's start off with this right here. A nice little conversation between Johnny Mac, Chris Fowler, Darren Cahill, all the guys that I love to hear over at ESPN talking about how the faster courts are going to change things. Let's take a listen.
Besides favoring the big servers, guys, who else do you think would benefit the most from this quicker court?
I would think potentially a guy like Shapovalov, who plays with high energy, plays a little more risk if his timing's right. Potentially, I'd like to see. It's hard to say. Medvedev, I think potentially could help because he's got some great hands and feel. I don't know if it's going to help Thiem a whole lot because he takes some pretty big swings. So that might be trickier for him.
Thiem had trouble with the return, Darren, at the Western and Southern.
I think he only won about 3 points on the return of serve in his straight sets lost.
No, Darren Cahill. It was two points won on the return game from Dominic Thiem in his first round Cincinnati loss. Cincinnati in New York, by the way. His first round loss to the Serbian Krajinovic. Here is some spy footage acquired from a fan of Coffee Break Tennis, a spy. Thank you for your service. Amin Javadi tweeted this to me. Dominic Thiem does not appear happy with the U.S. Open court speed. That sounds a lot like what we just heard the ESPN analyst talking about. Take a look. Oh my. Oh. The violence. If you're expecting Dominic Thiem to win the U.S. Open, this is not a good sign. You don't want. I'm not going to write him off completely, but that's not what you want to see coming from Dominic Thiem's practice. Anyways, take a look at this. One of the other players they mentioned, Medvedev, who is going to like this court, which I agree. We talked about it last week in the shows during the Cincinnati in New York version of Cincinnati Masters 1000. This is from Ollie regarding Medvedev. In case you didn't know, Benoit Paire, he shows no symptoms, but he tested positive for COVID. It seems like he'll be okay. But of course, who would it be that would somehow in the bubble find a way to catch it? You would think it'd be a wild man like Benoit Paire. Who knows? Who knows how it happened? Perhaps we will never know. But Medvedev, since he was in close contact with Paire, he can't practice today, Monday. I'm guessing he can't practice tomorrow either until he plays his match. I have no idea. I'll have to look into this before we do a show tomorrow night. I have no idea how long that's going to last. If it was like, you can't practice at all for the rest of the tournament, that would be insane. So hopefully it's not much longer than a couple days because that seems like unfair to Medvedev. Like if he's not testing positive, what more can you do to the guy? It seems like he's okay. Anyways, hopefully he doesn't get it because that would be sad for the tournament. He's one of the favorites. I'd put Medvedev and Raonic right up there with Tsitsipas. And one more thing before we look at the draw, let's talk about Sasha Zverev. In fact, let's get into the draw first. We got to look at Zverev because I predicted that Sasha Zverev would go down today, and he didn't. He won. He should be pretty happy. One, because he had less double faults. I think my buddy Will posted a thing on Twitter, the guy I met in Cincinnati last year, back when people were allowed to go to the tennis tournaments, fans were allowed. I met Will there, and he posted on Twitter something along the lines of the over or under should be set at 10.5 double faults for Sasha Zverev. Well, I think Sasha had 5. I think he had 5 double faults, and Anderson had a little bit more, maybe 7. So that's a great sign if you hit less double faults than your opponent, and it's Kevin Anderson who's got a great serve. So that's a big win for Sasha Zverev. And Kevin Anderson, just too many loose errors on the forehand side. Plus, another factor in this match is the backhand matchup. Sasha Zverev backhand is so much better than the Kevin Anderson backhand. And the fact that the Kevin Anderson, even though he served pretty well, the forehand was definitely just balls he shouldn't have missed. He was making errors on. It wasn't like he was getting insane pressure on the forehand and falling apart. When he had an opportunity to attack, he was falling apart. So that is going to be hard for Kevin Anderson to accept. But that opens things up for Sasha Zverev because look at this draw. Who's going to stop him? Jack Sock, like I showed at the beginning, a lot of heart coming through a tiebreaker in a 5th set. So that's a good win. Nice to see for Jack Sock, who's really not had anything go his way for a couple of years now. Jack Sock is not going to beat Sasha Zverev. Hurkacz, Manarino, I don't see anybody in here that should beat Sasha Zverev. And it looks like he's going to go to the quarterfinals and meet Tsitsipas. Because, Tsitsipas's draw looks pretty good. Tsitsipas has never had really any success here at the U.S. Open. So it'll be nice for Tsitsipas to finally have something he can work with here. Borna Coric, I watched him a little bit today. He looked okay. I don't think he's going to beat Tsitsipas. That would be tragic for the Tsitsipas fans if he lost to Coric. So Kukushkin, Garin, that was pretty gutsy of Garin to come back down 2 sets to love. That's noteworthy. I like Sasha Zverev Tsitsipas quarterfinal. I like Tsitsipas to win it as of right now. Sasha Zverev, though, he might start getting better and better and better and all of a sudden be really hot. So we'll say it here. It's a possibility. Let's look at the top part of the top half. Novak Djokovic. It's fun to watch big 3 legends, living legends of the game. That's what they are. John McEnroe in his commentary today made sure to point out that Djokovic is a living legend. Whether you love him or hate him, you cannot deny his greatness. And it was fun to watch him just destroying Zoomer in the first set. And then the second set got pretty interesting. And it makes you think there is a little danger for Djokovic because Kyle Edmond on a faster court, he's got a big weapon in that forehand. Of course, I don't think he's going to beat Djokovic, but he could make things tough on Djokovic, especially if we've seen Djokovic go for some really big second serves, which I like. And then we've also seen him have some struggles with some double faults. Just a little. It'll start. It hasn't really run away from him. He's played well. I mean, he just won the Masters. He's got... Some people were mad, and I wanted to do a bunch of comments. There were some interesting comments this time around, but it's already midnight, so I don't want to be up all night and do extra things that I have to edit into the video, like comments. But there were some comments saying, why didn't you mention the Golden Slam? Is it important? Yeah, the winning the Golden Slam was a big deal last year. Winning it twice, it's like when Rafa keeps winning the French Open. He wins 10. When he gets 11 and 12, like, how much more can I say? Like, we all know he's amazing. He's done something great here. And obviously Djokovic, perhaps, if Roger Federer had done it, maybe I would have mentioned it. Do you think? Is that possible? So I'll just say it right now. Incredible achievement for Novak Djokovic. And he looked good to me overall. he got the job done. It's the first match. He's not used to having a couple days rest after playing a whole tournament back to back to back. Without the pause and play on Thursday, there would have been no break in the action for Djokovic during the week of Cincinnati, pretty much. So it's been a little different preparation. And with that said, any signs of problems in the second set for Djokovic, I don't put too much stock in that. I think he's looking good overall, and it was impressive when he was destroying Zoomer in first and third sets. All right, Kyle Edmond could be a little dangerous for Djokovic, but I think Djokovic comes through in straight sets still. There's a potential that's a 4-set match if Kyle Edmond gets hot and is serving well and dictating play with a forehand like he's going to want to do. Then you got Struff. Now, here's something interesting. When I looked at the weather, it was cooler today. The courts are going to be, even though they're faster, they're going to play a little slower because it's not as hot. The ball gets extra pressurized and starts moving through the air a lot faster, bouncing higher, everything when the weather gets hot. The weather gets hot for round 3, which is Jan-Lennard Struff. And that I could see, even though Djokovic just gave Struff a spanking at the Cincinnati tournament. I think that was the day where the temperature dropped like 15 degrees. So that hurt Struff. A faster court is going to help him against Djokovic. It'll give him some chance, a better chance than normal. And having hot weather plus the fast court, that's really going to help Struff out. So he will get it. He'll get better conditions on Friday for round 3, assuming he can get through his next match and assuming that Djokovic beats Edmond. I think that's a safe assumption. We will see that. 4th round, John Isner's gone now. They were talking about in that clip, this is obviously going to favor the big servers, but the big servers are gone. Riley Opelka, John Isner, the biggest servers. Throw in Kevin Anderson. They are gone. Milos Raonic, obviously, we will see him play in the bottom half of the draw tomorrow. So Raonic is still there. He's a big server, but obviously Opelka and Isner are the biggest servers, and they are gone. And that's going to benefit Djokovic here to not have to. Not that he would have lost to Isner, but still, who wants to deal with that headache? He won't have to play him. Now we got Shapovalov. There was another person they mentioned. And he looked good today. And if he can keep things under control and use the court speed to his advantage, we could see it's either going to be Krajinovic, Goffin, or Shapo in the quarterfinal for Djokovic. That is what we're looking at right now. I watched a little bit of Krajinovic. He still looks good. It looks like he's going to carry the good experience, the good play he had in Cincinnati with him here. So I could see him getting through there. And 4th round with, I'm hoping, Shapovalov. Shapovalov, it would be nice to see him do well here. Taylor Fritz, it would be nice to see Taylor Fritz. He's got a good serve and forehand, aggressive game for this court. But if I had to pick right now, I'll go with Shapovalov. I love his game on this court. I just hope he can keep it together and not hit himself out of the match with too many unforced errors. All right, that's the draw. Tomorrow, we will go through the bottom half of the draw and talk about all the matches, or most of them like we just did, with all the play that's starting with Andy Murray is first up tomorrow at noon. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing what Andy Murray can do out there in a best-of-5 set match at the U.S. Open. Before we go, I just want to do one little thing, and that was we're talking about this court is a little faster. I thought, well, the Australian Open was, has been pretty fast recently. The balls made things slow down a lot this year. I wanted to compare some first-round matches. So at first I noticed this, and I just thought, well, this is proof that it's a fast court. 5 sets, Stevie Johnson, John Isner. A great match that we had today. It's sad to see those guys had to play each other. Both Americans, both buddies, had to play each other in the first round. But and they didn't do the racket tap. They spent a lot of time together practicing this summer, so I think they weren't too worried about spreading COVID to each other, so they did a real handshake, which is I think is okay. It goes to show you that they're buddies. And it was a good match, and look at this, 74 winners from Stevie Johnson on 23 unforced errors, and 91 winners on 46 from John Isner. Both of them 22 aces for Stevie Johnson, 52 for John Isner. The guy served out of his mind to not get broken by John Isner, who went 0 for 5 on breakpoint conversions. And just look at the winner count. So much more than double. More than triple. More than triple for Stevie Johnson. So when I saw that, I thought, this is a fast court. And then I thought to myself, well, let's find a couple matches that should be comparable. So here's perfect. Tsitsipas loses a total of 5 games last year to Salvatore Caruso, that guy who, what did he do? Didn't he have like a decent run at the French Open last year? He won a set off Djokovic or something like that. I can't remember. He's a clay court guy. And Tsitsipas beat the heck out of him. So here's the winners count. 27 winners from Tsitsipas, 16 from Caruso. So this year, Tsitsipas beat Ramos Vinolas, only dropping 4 games. And the match was, about 10 minutes difference, 8 minutes difference. This game is a little faster, and Tsitsipas goes 38 winners. So 11 more winners in a faster beatdown with less play. And I'm looking at total points won, and they're both somewhere around like 140. So about the same number of points played. And significantly more winners for Tsitsipas and more aces too. 5 more aces going to 13 compared to 8. So I don't know. It's anecdotal. It's not. There's no debating the courts are faster, but I just thought that was interesting to see 2 matches that are very similar from Australian Open this year, which is already faster than the U.S. Open was last year. So things are considerably faster. I think it's safe to say. All right, hit the music. We're getting out of here. Thanks for listening to the Coffee Break Tennis podcast tonight. Brought to you by the beloved patron saints of Coffee Break Tennis. Go to patreon.com/Coffee Break Tennis if you want to help us on our mission to cover tennis in the most fun, educational, exciting way possible. So excited for the tennis tomorrow, and we'll see you tomorrow night. See ya!